Abuja in the south or somewhere in the middle of the country for FAC allocations. So the total inflows expectations are around 115.73. That would be close to 80% of the total budget for Borno State for the new year. And capital receipts will be about 38 billion naira. In summary, that's what Shetima's Borno State budget for 2018 looks like. So is this with love from Paris, Nigeria's French economic and bilateral relations? Yesterday, Nigeria's ambassador to France, Modupe Irele, says France invested some 350 million euros, roughly 150 billion naira, in Nigeria last year as soft loans to the federal government, to state governments, and private sector. He didn't actually name all of them. But of course, he said the trade volume between Nigeria and France in the first quarter of last year was 1.9 billion euros. That's quite huge, isn't it? Almost 700 billion naira, much, much higher than 340 billion we did in the first quarter of 2016. He said the trade between France and Nigeria was dominated by oil and gas, construction sector, and other services. Where are we? Okay, finally, we can get into the market. Yes, the Financial Reporting Council has lost the court's directive that chairman of audit committees of quoted companies, quote, shall be a professional member of an accounting body established by an act of the National Assembly, or what you call the Act of Parliament. Some shareholders under the ICE Independent Shareholders Association of Nigeria actually took the Financial Reporting Council to court about 2 years ago and says that the directive that chairman of audit committees should be professional accountants or professional statistician or whatever was what you call an anomaly and medicine in extreme. That's the situation right now. So the court has overturned that directive of the Financial Reporting Council, which was issued sometime in 2015. So let's move on from there to check into the first day of our trading day. This is my first trading day in 2018. That was 24 hours ago. By the way, the stock market, ACAL 0.06% to start the new year. A lackluster day. Wall Street was much stronger, but we saw some markets around the world taking off on a very gentle note. So we managed to start on the right side of things in the green, and that's the numbers. That's how we're starting off the new year. You want to take a pen and paper and write it out somewhere with the market above 38,000. Take that forward and look at the basic trading statistics for the day. In terms of volume, we're around 200. We did around 250 million ordinary shares, about 4.9 million US dollars in naira terms, 1.78 billion in local currency. And in transaction terms, that was quite positive in terms of sentiment of bid and offer. 3,035 transactions at the end of the day. My 5-sector watch, this is how you get it. 3 greens, 2 reds. Banks lost very marginally despite strong volume. About $1.7 million of shares of Zenith Bank were traded, the most active, followed by GT, less than $500,000. Industrial goods added about 0.2%, giving me some green. Consumer goods was much better by 0.2%. The insurance went in opposite direction of their cousins, the banks, almost 1%. Oil and gas turned red, 0.38%. We were positive in the final trading day of December 2017. So I'm looking at the oil and gas. Let's bring that up. This is where Forte Oil, the bellwether in that sector, one of the bellwethers in that space, dragged the market 3.40, dragged the oil and gas segment by 3.4%. That was much stronger than the green shoot of 4.93, which was a small cap retailer, Eternal Oil, on less than 103,000 shares. That's the only green shoot from that market space on our first trading day of the new year. Via the NESD OTC, let's just take that away, folks. Thank you very much. I've seen a lot of gray over there. Let's move on to the NESD OTC. What is just a summary? It was a no trading day for the first day, the National Association of Securities Dealers, OTC, over-the-counter market. So we're just going to roll that away. Those figures were just basically where we're starting up on a new term, starting the new year. Let's go to fixed income. Treasury bills and the Naira bond via the FMDQ OTC Securities Exchange. That's the Treasury bills. That's quite aggressive. The central bank rolled out the first open market operations, what we call OMO, of about 60 billion. Yesterday, the transactions there was very, very active, but in terms of yields, that was bearish, went up nearly 80 basis points on the first day. Everyone tried to pile their trading activities onto the long side of the market, the long end of the market, that is Treasury bills maturing much longer in terms of tenor. So you can see Treasuries maturing October 2018, February, April, and March. Those are the most actively traded as everyone tries to pack their treasuries into that space because of the refinancing, about 3 trillion naira that the Nigerian government is doing into dollar-denominated treasuries in the new year. So you can see that 224. That's quite massive. Flip that. Let's go to the bonds where it was largely lackluster. 2 transactions, 1.5 billion. This is a very tepid way to start the new year via the FMDQ OTC Securities Exchange. Folks are still trying to look into their portfolio and get their bearings right as we start the new year 2018. At the FX market, and that's where we are wrapping up the market review for the first trading day, Naira dollar on the streets was unchanged 363, but the local currency down 0.2% to 361 at the investors and exporters window, about $200.36 million in terms of total transactions. Naira dollar between 320 and 362 at the I&E window on the first trading day of the year. So we got the first briefing, the first word for the securities market in the new year from the Acting Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission. And as you may have heard in the news, there's good news for you. The amnesty for those misbehavior of multiple shares registration is now been extended till the end of March. Until that time, if you fail to correct those anomalies or illegal activity, then the amnesty will be over. Your shares will be confiscated by the SEC, and that goes into the market fund. That's part of what Dr. Zubair told the press yesterday in his first media briefing since he took office in the first week of December. Let's come back to that after the break, and we'll hear from him, as well as Henry Rowland, who is in charge of external business at the SEC.